All right, greetings from the dark continent. Conscious Caracal here, or Aaron's Fun Sail, here to shine a light on what's been happening on the other side of the ocean, on the other side of the Atlantic, but that has major repercussions for the southern tip of Africa. I see there's already a lot of people waiting, a lot of people in anticipation of what I'm going to say, what the analysis is going to be. Well, here's some words for you: disaster, calamity, absolute catastrophe for the South African government in regards to their meeting with Donald Trump and his team in Washington, D.C., at least the part that we saw that was broadcast to the public. Good afternoon, everyone. We're not in a regular time slot for my show, so I'm very glad that people are tuning in. Let me know if the sound is fine. And if anything about the stream needs to be adjusted, let me know in the chat over there. But we're going to dive right into the story. So today, as you can see with my clothing, there's a ice cold wind blowing through the streets of Pretoria, the capital, today. And that's literal and metaphorical. When it comes to what we witnessed yesterday, not good news for the GNU, for the South African government, for the ANC in particular. I see there's a lot of spin going on already. A lot of people, a lot of people in the comment class, in the commentariat, already writing their opinion pieces that were written before the meeting even happened, with the conclusions already predetermined that this was a fantastic victory for Ramaphosa and his team. They were majestic. I can already see those coming out. Those pieces are already being pumped out by the propaganda machine, the state-captured media. So I'm going to be going through the meeting. I'm not going to be playing clips, and I think most of you, all of you, probably have seen the meeting by now, or at least the highlights. So I'm just going to be sharing my thoughts so you can listen along. If you've got any questions, put them in the chat. I'll listen to, or I'll read all of them, get to as many as I can. So firstly, I think what set the stage for me personally this week in preparation for this meeting was on Monday evening. I was on the Afrikaans TV channel Kyknet on their program called In Gesprek. I was on a panel discussion with 3 other people. If you're one of my Afrikaans listeners, the first half of that conversation you can watch on YouTube at Kyknet Archief is the channel's name. Unfortunately, the second half of the conversation is not going to be uploaded on YouTube, according to Kyknet, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of good stuff in that second half as well. Actually, a lot more damning stuff in that second half. I think there's a rebroadcast tomorrow, either 10 a.m. in the morning or 3 p.m. in the afternoon on Kyknet, if you want to watch that whole episode. But what happened in that panel discussion was that during that panel discussion, I said the South African delegation to Washington should not underestimate Trump. They should not be going there to give him a lecture, to tell him that, let's see, let's go from the top. Expropriation Act, where there's no threat to private property rights in South Africa. You know, those all those threats to we've made to private property rights, all those times over the past 5 years or plus that the ANC has said the purpose of the Expropriation Act is to enable expropriation of property without compensation. We were just kidding. Kill the Boer is just a metaphor. Farm murders are just normal crime. I warned, and I pretty much said that when I said that the South African delegation should not underestimate Trump, the whole panel started laughing. The whole panel discussion that I was part of, the other 3 people on the panel just started smirking and chuckling at the thought that the South African delegation could be outsmarted and outmaneuvered by the Trump team, because of course Trump is, according to them, an idiot, a buffoon, doesn't know what he's doing. He's just stumbling from victory to victory. You know the shtick. When it comes to particularly that foreshadowing, I think I was proven right. The South African delegation very clearly went into that discussion completely unprepared for what they ended up facing, but they weren't ambushed, quote unquote, ambushed. That's the new buzz term, buzzword that's being used by the media, both abroad and here in South Africa, that the South African delegation were ambushed by Donald Trump. No, they were not ambushed. I could have predicted. Well, I actually did predict in that conversation, that panel discussion. I did say, I asked the question, what is the South African delegation going to do if Donald Trump plays videos about what's happening in South Africa, shows photographs about what's happening in South Africa? Now, I thought he was probably going to just show his phone, like one little video on his phone of Julius Malema singing Kill the Boer, or some photographs of farm murders, and that's going to be it. Little did I know that it was going to be a dim the lights moment. Get your popcorn, watch the screen for a moment. I want to show you something. Entire presentation, PowerPoint, slideshow extravaganza. Little did I know that Donald Trump, even I underestimated Donald Trump in big irony of the situation. I also underestimated just how thorough he was going to be with his receipts, what he's going to show there. I mean, an entire compilation of just Julius Malema chanting, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, threats to farmers, showing the extent of the threat that farmers face in South Africa. Impossible to explain away. And I said on that panel discussion earlier this week, the only option that the South African government, I think, or the delegation is going to consider is to literally look Donald Trump straight in the face and tell him, do not believe your lying eyes and ears. And I kind of say that a little bit tongue in cheek at the time, but that's literally what they ended up doing. President Ramaphosa at one point, literally looks at Donald Trump and says, listen to us. He looks him in the eye, says, listen to us. These things are not happening. And I'm just thinking to myself, did you see what was put on screen? Have you seen the mountains of evidence that you are being presented with, and that's the best you got? Don't believe your lying eyes. I meant that semi as a joke when I predicted that that's probably what they're going to say, and then they ended up doing it. I mean, reality is funnier than fiction, it seems. But that was genuinely their go-to. Oh man. Total disaster. As I said, calamity. Anyone telling you otherwise is doing PR for the South African government. Let's see. I'm going to read some of the comments here before we continue. Tian Engelbrecht, Craig B, Buzz Lightyear, Siege Works. Hello, sound is all good. Baie dankie Tian, ek waardeer dit. Colleen, Siegeworks, spin does not work on the Trump admin. No, it doesn't. Dagbreker says, hi, Adams. Even I felt like crawling up behind the chair that exposed so much. Dagbreker, I experienced secondhand embarrassment for Ramaphosa and his team watching there. I'm not even there. It's not even my mistake that all my policies being ridiculed and humiliated. Even I felt like a little shred of secondhand embarrassment. I'm like, wow, this is just going horribly. Ben C says they told him to not believe his eyes, and also that South Africa is a disaster for everyone, so it's okay. That's the other absolutely just bizarre justification that the delegation tried. Like, no, this issue is not that the issue of farm murders is not so bad because it's bad for everyone. South Africa is much worse than you think. That was genuinely their argument. They're like, if you think this is bad, let us tell you a bit more about how bad South Africa is under ANC rule. Like that's some type of counterpoint. Wow. Yeah. Remember, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'll see if I can get to them. That was an insane comment. Yeah, I'll get to that now, that comment. Yeah, maybe I'll just address it now. So SiegeWorks points that out. Then Donald Trump shows a video of a farm murder protest in South Africa. And Ramaphosa looks at the video and he's like, where is that? He looks completely puzzled. He looks out of, like, he doesn't look like he's there. He looks like he just in a dream or in a nightmare. And Trump's answer is devastating because Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, asked, "Where's this video from?" And Trump's like, "South Africa." Insane. It's a real video, by the way. It's a farm murder protest that happened in 2020, and I see a lot of farm murder denialists genuinely think because they don't know about this protest happening, and because they're totally oblivious to the suffering of farmers in South Africa, that somehow proves that the issue of farm murders is fake. I even see some other disgusting individuals out there claiming the video is fake, or that the video was taken in Texas because Grok told someone it's taken in Texas, even though Grok says that the AI can't do video analysis. It's really just, people are so desperate. Just don't pay attention to the farm murders in South Africa. Whatever you do avert your eyes from the screen. That's the other thing that it seemed that the South African delegation was trying to tell everyone. Just like, don't look at the screen. Don't look at what's being presented. Look at me. Don't look at the screen. Look at us. Don't look at the screen. Really was a bizarre clown show. So that video, yes, was from 2020, a protest in reaction to the brutal murder of Glenn and Vida Rafferty on the farm near Normandin in South Africa. It's a real protest. It's one of the largest anti-farm murder protests in the history of South Africa. And the president of South Africa is either lying when he says he doesn't know about it, or he is oblivious to the fact he actually doesn't know that it happened, even though it happened while he was president. And there's actually a banner at the protest addressing him. I'm going to put that on screen. Absolutely insane. Let me just, as always, be patient with me while I get it on screen here. Present screen. Share screen. Here we go. So I'm going to give you the photographs of that farm at a protest. There we go. Can you see it? Yes. There we go. That's from the protest that Donald Trump was referencing. This is real. This is real footage, real photograph of a protest that happened in 2020. The media in South Africa even did stories on it. It was so big. Real photographs. This is an actual banner that was at the protest. President Ramaphosa, how many more must die? This is from the protest that our president either is lying when he says he doesn't know about it, or he's just completely oblivious to it. Insane. Absolutely insane. Let's see here. Let's read some more comments before I continue. Greiling Wilman says, vandag lag ek hardop vir die media se trane. Let's see here. Yeah, I was also not expecting just the depths to which the South African delegation would go and they'd stoop to with their denialism. That's the other thing, Indorm, you're 100% correct. When the videos started playing, the real videos of Julius Malema, prominent South African politician, a politician that Ramaphosa has invited back into the ANC. When the videos of him, when those videos started playing of Julius Malema doing the chant, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, the South African members of the South African delegation sat there smirking and laughing. On screen is a politician chanting about killing farmers and killing South African citizens based on their race and their identity. And the minister of the presidency and Ramaphosa are sitting there laughing, smirking. All just one big fat joke. Well, we're not laughing, you freaks. I'm not laughing. All those victims, the victims of farm attacks that weren't killed, that are alive and have to live with that trauma, aren't laughing. Everyone who's lost a family member or a friend to this vicious crime phenomenon, this violent crime phenomenon, this brutal crime phenomenon, we're not laughing. It boggles the mind. There's people out there that defend this inhuman coldness of a president who, first of all, denies that this phenomenon exists. 2018, President Ramaphosa goes on an international platform and says there are no murdering of farmers or white farmers in South Africa. That's his direct quote. Has never apologized or retracted that comment. At the time, you'd think that the fact checkers, the disinformation experts in the media would fact check the president when he makes such a blatant lie. No, they write opinion pieces. Peter de Tooy of News 24 writes an opinion piece or blog post. I think that's a bit more accurate to call it. A blog post on News 24 titled, "What the President Meant to Say." There's no what meant to say when someone says, this crime phenomenon is not happening in my country. There's no explanation of explaining that away. You're just a PR company for the ANC, and anyone who pays a News 24 subscription is happily paying additional tax to fund the South African government's PR firm. Shameless. And they're going to be doing damage control for the ANC again this morning. They're probably already busy, but I'm not going to be looking to go see what they're up to there on that just horrible site. Or probably going to be one big parade trying to explain how this was a fantastic meeting for the president. He completely owned Donald Trump. It's probably what the line is going to be there. Those people that are the most vocal about misinformation and disinformation, spreading the most horrific disinformation and misinformation. Misinformation is just a synonym for anything that goes against the government's narrative, by the way. The Bad Butcher says, "Hey, Adams, just wanted to say that I, like many others, truly respect what you do, and I know you have a loyal follower in me." Trump beat the brakes off Ramaphosa with that video. There was a clip of Ramaphosa afterwards talking to the media, and his voice was breaking. He was like crying. He looked like he was on the verge of tears. I hope he was on the verge of tears because his conscience was attacking him, saying like, how do you sleep at night, denying that these horrific crimes happen in your country? I hope Ramaphosa's conscience keeps him awake at night. I hope everyone in that delegation's consciences keep them awake at night, constantly just reminding them, what's wrong with you? Have you no shame? Yeah, this topic gets me very emotional because I grew up in a farming community. Firstly, I'm an Afrikaner. And Afrikaners, as Dirk Herman of the Solidarity Movement always says, are very intimately connected to the profession of farming. If you yourself are not a farmer as an Afrikaner, you have a family that farm. And if you don't have family that farm, you have friends that farm. There's a reason why a synonym for the Afrikaners is the boers. Literally means the farmers. And my own personal story, I grew up in a farming community. I know people who have been victims of farm attacks. Loved ones of mine. I've had to console a loved one over the phone while her family were in the process of being attacked on their farm, and she wasn't there. I have to tell her over the phone that everything is going to be okay. And when you are in that position where you have loved ones and friends and family that have been affected by this horrific crime, this violent crime phenomenon, and you dare to tell the world about it, you're called a misinformation peddler, a propagandist, a racist, horrible human being for daring to embarrass the South African government on a global stage. How dare you is what's being told, is screamed in your face. How dare you talk about this issue that has affected you? There's always a bigger issue. That's the line you always hear. How can you care about this issue of farm murders if X, Y, and Z are bigger issues than that? It's not acceptable. And the people, the farm murder denialists that push this type of narrative need to be called out, put in their place. Horrible human beings, morally deficient human beings, twisted souls. And while I get very angry and emotional about this topic, I pray firstly for the farmers of South Africa, that God will keep them safe under these incredibly trying times. But I also pray for those farm murder denialists. I pray that God will fix their broken moral compasses. I pray that he leads them on the path of redemption, because they're on a dark path, evil path. Yeah. I mean, maybe when it comes to this topic, I mean, maybe you need a cold and clinical analysis rather than my type of analysis where my own personal connection to the issue gets me this emotional. But someone has to stand up for these poor people. Someone has to tell the world about what's going on here, because it's not going to be those people in the media that are denying the issue. It's not going to be President Cyril Ramaphosa. And it seems like it's not going to be John Steenhuisen either. Seems like it's not going to be the DA either, because the DA got the opportunity through John Steenhuisen last night to set the record straight. When he was given, Ramaphosa was like, he couldn't wait to introduce his emphasis, white minister. Here's my white minister. Have I told you he's a white minister? Have you seen the color of his skin? John Steenhuisen, my white minister. Have you met my white minister? And then John had his opportunity. John, whose party has been attacking and criticizing the ANC for decades now, relentlessly, mercilessly, had the opportunity to set the record straight. And he rushed to the defense of the president. That's what he did. He didn't mention that the man sitting in front of him, President Ramaphosa's party, pushed through an Expropriation Act that threatens private property rights in South Africa. He didn't say that Ramaphosa denies farm murders are happening in South Africa. He didn't talk about the cozy relationship between Ramaphosa over the years with Julius Malema, the chief chanter of Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer. He said that MK and there was a video during the presentation of Jacob Zuma, former president of South Africa, chanting, also doing the Kill the Boer, Dubela Ibunu song. And that he was doing that while he was an ANC member. But John said, no, the clips shown here are small, tiny little parties. The EFF and MK, they're nobodies. I've never seen these people. He might as well have said, I've never seen these people in my life. And then Donald Trump looks him in the eye and he's like, did you see the video of this man doing this chant in a stadium full of 100,000 people? And you're telling me this is a nobody. Telling me this man has no political power. You're telling me this man has no support. He sits in parliament in South Africa. He's been invited back into the ANC by President Cyril Ramaphosa. So no, it was a horrific missed opportunity for John there. Colonel Chris Wyatt, thank you very much for tuning in. He says they have no idea what's going on. Trump wants racial discrimination to end, not just farmers. Yes, the demands aren't radical. 3 major demands, or 3 major issues that the American government had put on the table yesterday. during that meeting. Now, there's other issues as well, but 3 issues that were put on the table during that meeting that the South African delegation had no answer to, no rebuttal to. Let's go through them. The Expropriation Act. What does Trump want? Don't threaten your citizens with expropriation without compensation. It's the first demand. Now, he didn't literally say this, but he expressed what his issues were with the South African government. And you can infer what his demands are from that. Don't discriminate against minority groups in your country based on the color of their skin through the many race laws that you have. And why is this man, Julius Malema, allowed to incite violence against minorities? Why do you do nothing about it? Why do you sit back and wash your hands? Say, I can't do anything. That's the other strange thing that happened. Well, not strange. I know why. So Ramaphosa, this year, 2025, on Human Rights Day, Julius Malema chants, kill the boer, kill the farmer once again. And AfriForum writes a letter to Ramaphosa, urging the president to condemn the chant, kill the boer, kill the farmer, telling him this is the least that you can do. Condemn the chant as wrong, that you don't support it. We get a response from his spokesperson. President Ramaphosa's spokesperson replies, and he says, the president will do no such thing. Last night, Trump asks the president, what's your stance on this? Do you support this chant, kill the boer, kill the farmer? And for the first time in his history as a human being, Ramaphosa says, no, well, I don't support this type of what we're seeing on screen. This is not our policies. Like a little limp-wristed distancing. The first little shred of a condemnation, but not a real condemnation. Just like, that's not us. I don't support this. For the first time, when he's bullied and pushed into that corner, he's forced to make a little pathetic little comment on it saying, oh, actually, we don't really support that. But when a civil rights organization like AfriForum writes a letter to you, urging you politely to condemn that chant, your spokesperson arrogantly responds, no, the president will not. Why do you have to be bullied into a corner by Donald Trump to give a little, tiny little concession on a chant that calls for the murdering of your citizens based on the color of their skin or based on their profession? President Ramaphosa called the 49 refugees, Afrikaner refugees that fled to the United States earlier a few weeks ago, cowards. They're not the cowards, Mr. President. You are. You are the coward. You're so much of a coward that you can't even condemn a chant that calls for the murder of your own citizens. You only give a limp-wristed, quote unquote, I don't even want to call it a condemnation because you were just squirming there and just wanted to say anything to get out of that situation, that uncomfortable situation. So you said, no, we don't support this. Why did it take Donald Trump pushing you into a corner to make that tiny little concession? Condemning the chant, kill the boer, kill the farmer should be the easiest thing in the world. Yet it's somehow for you a Herculean task. I know why, though. It's because it's more important for you, Cyril, to not upset the EFF than it is for you to stand with the farmers and minority groups like Afrikaners in your country. You're much more concerned with the feelings and the reaction of the EFF and Julius Malema, your big buddy, than you are with minorities in your country with genuine concerns that you write off. Oh, don't believe me that they're big fat buddies, Ramaphosa and Julius Malema. Let me show you some pictures. I found just some random pictures of the two of them, and you tell me what emotions you see in these pictures. I just want to gauge your thoughts here. So let's see. Here's the first picture. Let's make it nice and there we go. What emotions do you see in that picture? That's President Cyril Ramaphosa and Julius Malema. I'll show you another one. I've got a whole collection here. How about this one? What emotions do you see there? Hatred, opposition, friction. Here's another one. Just bitter enemies. These two, Julius Malema and Cyril Ramaphosa, just hate each other. You can see it. You can see it in their faces. Look at that. Look at the animosity. Just the epitome, the like artistic condensation, artistic rendering of the dynamic between enemies, don't you think? Just bitter enemies. Oh, it's a funny world we live in. Let's see some of the comments before I continue. Let's see. Yeah, there's so many comments. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Oh man, I'm not going to be able to get to them all. I'm really sorry, and I don't have super chats on this channel. I don't have super chats on any channel, so they're not going to be highlighted. Dagbreker says ek trots op Ernie en Retief. Yeah, that's the other thing. So now Ramaphosa brings all these golfers along with the delegation to back him up, and to different extents. I mean, Ernie doesn't point to farm murders in the same way as I wish he had taken a stronger stance, but he does say that two wrongs don't make a right, very strongly implying that racial discriminatory laws by the ANC are not justified because of apartheid existing. But Retief Goosen just openly states, yes, I know friends and family that have been affected by these brutal farm murders. Even today, our farms are being attacked and farms are being burned down where he lives. He just paints the real unadulterated picture. So well done to especially Retief Goosen. Let's see. Man, there's so many comments. Thank you very much. I wish I could read all of them, but I'm going to have to skim them at this moment. There's still a lot that I want to get to. Mason Jack asks, what's your opinion on Anton Rupert saying he sleeps on his farm with an open door without mentioning his armed guards? I think Johan Rupert alienated a lot of South Africans in that moment, not just white and black, because I don't know a single South African that sleeps with their doors open except those that live in Urania. I don't think Johan Rupert lives in Urania. So very strange comment. That's not it's almost like a let them eat cake comment of like, there's not, what do you mean? There's these problems in South Africa. I sleep with my door open. That's not the experience of any other South African that I know personally. Very strange. That house is probably behind massive walls, has private security patrolling constantly, and is in a part of the country where very little people live. Probably some remote farm somewhere. But a remote farm in a part of the country, not where most of the farm murders are happening, probably in a province like the Northern Cape, in the Karoo Desert, where there's not so many farm murders because there's just not people. And you need people for there to be criminals, and for people to commit farm murders, there needs to be a certain amount of people. So he's probably somewhere out there. But anyway, it was a strange comment. I think he alienated a lot of people with that. Oh, well, I'm only human. And yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, there's so many comments. I wish I could get to all of them. Dylan says, I don't think Ramaphosa invited those people. No, I think he did. As I understand it, Ramaphosa says somewhere during the meeting that he tried to get a whole team of these sports people together, especially golfers, and he tried to get Gary Player, and Gary Player told him that he's just too old. So no, he did. He brought them together, and then at least one of them very explicitly sabotaged this whole PR strategy of trying to convince Donald Trump that there's not, don't believe your lying eyes. Let's see here. Yeah, man, it's been a hectic 24 hours. We'll just about 24 hours. Yeah, I mean, there's the other thing is now Ramaphosa and his entire delegation, including John Steenhuisen, are trying to distance themselves from Julius Malema. But just a few years ago, there's a video of Ramaphosa saying he would welcome Julius Malema back into the ANC with open arms. Just think about those photos again that I showed you, those angry photos between Ramaphosa and Malema. Real enemies. Yeah, but I mean, let's start summarizing. So in the Nova says, Arends, it is thanks to your work in AfriForum, Solidarity, and Arends Roots that we have gotten this breakthrough. Baie dankie. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We've been at AfriForum and the Solidarity movement, and Arends Roots also through his work over the years with farm murders. It's been a long journey. It's been a hard fight to get these facts out there. And I'm very glad that they've penetrated all the way into the Oval Office, into Washington, into the Trump administration. It's fantastic. And it's very heartening. Elon Musk sharing my documentary, getting my documentary to 42 million views, my documentary about farm murders, expropriation without compensation, the Expropriation Act, race laws in South Africa, Kill the Boer. If you haven't seen that documentary, it's on YouTube and on X. The title is Trump Right About South Africa? Yeah. Man. Mason Jack asks a very good question, but a very difficult question. What do you expect to be next? What will be the outcome of this? Well, it really is going to depend on what is discussed behind closed doors. Overall, I think this, as I said at the beginning, this was a total disaster for the ANC and for the South African government. I think a lot of people, especially abroad, have noticed that the ANC is not what they pretend to be, and not all is fine in South Africa. And I think it. If I was Ramaphosa's advisor, I would have not advised him to now go beg for a meeting with Donald Trump at this time. When, yeah, but I mean, it's not as if he would not have been warned. If he had listened to just people outside of his yes men circle, they would have told him, don't underestimate Donald Trump. He's going to be incredibly well prepped. You better be as well. And Ramaphosa was not well prepped. He was well prepped in a certain sense that he wanted, from what I can see, his strategy seems to have been, the whole delegation was, we just need to get through this public meeting, talking about mundane, just like trivial things, technology, economic employment, economic growth, investment. These aren't issues that are not important, but you just kind of like dance around the issues, the typical like just bread and butter of political what do you call it, lip service, not really touching the uncomfortable realities, talking about these little fluffy issues that aren't uncontroversial. I think they wanted to they probably banked that the meeting was going to be about an hour. If they could fill the majority of that meeting with just fluff talk about economics and unemployment and all these little things and technology, they really like focused on technology, drones. I think they wanted to just ride out and outlast Donald Trump so he doesn't get to the topics of the refugees, farm murders, and the like. And then at the end of the meeting, they can then say, well, we diffused the situation. We were able to talk about all these other important things. That didn't happen because you can see in the beginning when Ramaphosa starts giving his little intro, he's talking, he's dancing around the issues. He knows what Donald Trump wants to talk about, but he's not touching it. He's talking about all these little side quests. And then Donald Trump at one point is just like, you know why we're here. I know why we're here. Dim the lights. I want to show you something. What's this? Almost like a principal calling a naughty child into his office, showing him the evidence of his naughty act and saying, what is this? Photograph of him graffitiing something. He's like, what is this? Explain yourself. And to call what follows an explanation would be very charitable. It's not really an explanation. It's just a denial, like this weird, absurd denial of like, don't look at the screen. That's not real. What? This is South Africa? What? I mean, for someone who's Ramaphosa, for someone who's always shocked, he is really a really bad actor at acting shocked. Dim the lights. That was an epic moment, better than a blockbuster film. Ooh, that's a good way of putting it. Ramaphosa went there for visual currency. He left broke and in debt. Yeah, there's no other way to see it. The only other way to frame it would be to frame it as some like success. And with any again, don't believe your lying eyes. What you saw, the absolute just train smash that you saw unfold live and in HD, that didn't really happen. It was all just a bad dream. That's probably, I would not put it past the South African media trying to convince you that you just imagined that entire train smash of a meeting. It was all just a bad dream. Because that's why I love this format of transparent meetings like this. Because without that, you would have to rely on the media telling you, those privileged people that had access to the behind closed doors meeting would then tell you like secondhand information about what was talked about, what was said. So yeah, that's something that I think is very welcome. I'm so glad it was broadcast. William Peters, baie dankie. Thank you very much for letting me know. I'll straighten it now. I'll straighten it. I can't get the perspective right. There we go. I'll straighten it out right there. No, I'll do that after the stream. But thank you very much. It will definitely drive my wife crazy if there are skew pictures in our house. All right. Well, that pretty much brings me to the end of our analysis today. If you like this type of content, you can subscribe. And if you're watching and it's no longer live, you can share your thoughts in the comment section. I really do appreciate it. And then also become a member of AfriForum, one of the only few organizations that are brave enough to speak uncomfortable truths rather than comforting and convenient lies. It seems like that's what the South African delegation to Washington preferred. So you can support our fact-based analysis and what we do by becoming a member. There's a link in the description. Follow that link, become a member, and make us stronger so that we can actually be the de facto opposition, seeing as that the previous or the former opposition parties have been clearly co-opted by the ANC. Kale Rocks, friend of the show, says, what surprised me was not how much Trump wrecked him, but rather how much Steenhuisen bowed and wrecked his party by complying. Hit subscribe and like. Thank you very much. Yes, goodbye, everyone. This was a little treat for you. I don't usually do current events analysis. And I don't usually do streams at 2 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, but I thought I needed to do my part. It's not time for rest now. It's time for wake up, to be waaksaam en wakker, and to be fighting the good fight for truth, because the truth needs allies, strong allies that don't say, I'm tired. I don't want to fight for the truth now. So thank you very much for tuning in. Share this with all your friends and family and help. I'll do the work. I'll create the content. I'll put the truth out there. You can help by sharing it. Really, really helps. Thank you very much. A lot of fantastic episodes and what do you call it? Interviews coming up. A lot of interest out there. I'm going to be going on a lot of American YouTube channels to talk about South Africa. So keep an eye on my social media. I will be promoting them all there. And yeah, the world is watching and the world is noticing what's going on. And it's nice to see. It's not easy. It's difficult being on the side of truth. It's much easier to fight on the side of lies and narratives. But at the end of the day, it's much more rewarding fighting on the side of truth. So thank you, guys. Cheers. Have a good one. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys. Have a good one. And God bless.